So are you guys ready to hear about why I am considering cutting off my locks after almost 7 years of having them? Yeah, let's get to it. Welcome back to the Atreyu Locs channel. Hi, I'm Atreyu, a semi-freeformer who is dedicated to bringing you the best tips to grow a healthy set of locks. If this is your first time, make yourself comfortable. I'm glad to have you. So if you watched last week's video, you know that I am considering cutting off my locks, and this is not an easy decision that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to wait it out. I'm trying to do everything that I can to not cut off my locks, but recently I got some news that made me reconsider my hair journey, if you will. So I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather, but it's okay. I have my green tea with cranberry here to soothe me, so we're gonna get through this story in this video. Alright, so where do I start? I would say this started back in December, and for those of you who were watching my videos back then, I think I in at least one video mentioned that my scalp was itching. I think also in that month I made a video about how I was moisturizing twice a week because it's the winter and your scalp and hair tends to get dry during colder months. Now, for those of you who have been watching my channel, watching the videos, following me for a long time, you know that I don't do a lot of oiling or moisturizing because I never needed to. And it was only during the winter time that I would do it a little bit more frequently, but my more frequently still really couldn't compete with other people's just regular moisture maintenance frequency, right? So if you have been watching my videos, it might have sounded kind of excessive for me to be moisturizing twice a week. Well, the reason that I was moisturizing twice a week at that point was because my scalp was itching like crazy. And so I just figured that, hey, it's the winter time and my scalp is dry and I just need to moisturize a little bit more often than I would otherwise. So that's what I did. I started moisturizing twice a week. And guess what, you guys? My scalp was still itching. Moisturizing my locks and scalp didn't really help at all. So then I'm like, okay, something is not right. Of course, I'm constantly inspecting my scalp to make sure that I don't have dandruff, and I have never really had a dandruff problem. So I'm like, this must be internal, it's not like a topical problem. There's not a lot of dandruff. My scalp is not dry because it's moisturized. So what is causing this issue? So finally, I end up going to see a dermatologist who assessed my scalp, said that it was really inflamed, and said that I have seborrheic dermatitis. And from my research, I've heard that this is also referred to as seborrheic eczema. Now, once again, for those of you who have been following me and who have been subscribed to my channels over the years for a while, you know that I have eczema. I've mentioned that several times. I have come on here a few times with dry skin thinking that I had, moisturized, even though it had been a few hours since I moisturized, and yeah, I just come on here looking a little dry, like, bruh, where's the lotion? But it's because when I look at water, I get ashy, so I don't even have to touch it, just look at it and I get ashy. So it was no surprise, I guess, that he said that yes, it's a problem with eczema, but that also you have seborrheic dermatitis. Now that confused me because I knew a little bit about seborrheic dermatitis before, and usually what presents with that is a whole bunch of like dandruff, right? It's like this overgrowth of dandruff. That's one of the telltale signs of seborrheic dermatitis. So for those of you who don't know what seborrheic dermatitis is, basically it's a long-term skin condition that causes scaly patches and red skin, mainly on the scalp. But it can happen on other places like your face, like your upper chest, like your back. And the reason that it can happen in those other places in addition to your scalp is because wherever you have high sebum production, those spots are particularly susceptible to seborrheic dermatitis. It is believed that an inflammatory reaction to Malassezia yeast, which is an organism that normally lives on the surface of the skin, is what causes seborrheic dermatitis, but it's still unclear as to what the exact cause is. There's certain triggers for it, like seasonal changes or like it being the winter, poor immune function, Parkinson's disease, even stress can cause flare-ups of seborrheic dermatitis. And like I said before, that Malassezia yeast that lives on the surface of the skin, that's believed to be a major culprit to seborrheic dermatitis. But it's not only that, because when it's warmer out and you have Malassezia yeast, like in the summer months, that isn't an automatic trigger for a seborrheic dermatitis flare-up. So there's still a lot of research that needs to be done in terms of really pinpointing the cause of seborrheic dermatitis. The good thing is that there are certain things that can be done to manage it. However, as I said before, it's long term, so there is no cure for it, which is kind of a bitter pill to swallow. So let's go to Wikipedia to see what they say, just to give you a more precise definition, all right? Seborrheic dermatitis, also known as seborrhea, is a long-term skin disorder. Symptoms include red, scaly, greasy, itchy, and inflamed skin. Areas of the skin rich in oil-producing glands are often affected, including the scalp, face, and chest. Now, looking at some of the causes, it says, the cause of seborrheic dermatitis has not been fully clarified. The condition is thought to be due to a local inflammatory response to overcolonization by Malassezia fungi species in sebum-producing skin areas, including the scalp, face, chest, back, underarms, and groin. This is based on observations of high counts of Malassezia species in skin affected by seborrheic dermatitis and on the effectiveness of antifungals in treating the condition. So yeah, that's what I am contending with. Now, getting back to the story. So I went to the dermatologist and he prescribed a couple of things. I have to use this ketoconazole shampoo, and I need to shampoo my hair 2 to 3 times a week. And I also have this cream that I need to apply to my forehead because, as you'll see in the pictures, my skin started to get those scaly patches. It was really kind of freaky. I'm like, what is happening to my skin? Like, I felt like I was excuse me, I felt like I was turning old, like in a matter of minutes, just like with how my skin was changing. And for the most part, I've been blessed with decent skin. You know, I have never really had like skin problems or major skin problems. So as I saw my skin start to change and just become flaky and itchy and dry and stuff, it started to really freak me out. So I have to put this cream on my forehead twice a day. And then, like I said, I have to use the ketoconazole shampoo 2 to 3 times a week. And it's just a lot because I have locks. And it'd be one thing if I had a bald fade like I used to rock back in the day, which was very easy, you know, little to no hair. It'd be really easy to do all of that, right? But now I have locks, so not that I'm against the washing, obviously, but my locks, especially with their length, it takes a while to dry. Now, I will say that they dry much faster than I thought that they would, especially with how long they are, but I think that's because since I'm shampooing them so much, they're so clean, there's literally no oil on the surface of my locks to slow down the drying process, right? I mean, it still takes several hours, but thankfully, you know, by the time I go to bed, they're definitely dry. And I would say probably like 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed, they're dry. But it's just a hassle having to go through that process. With the ketoconazole shampoo, you have to let it sit on your scalp for like 5 to 10 minutes for your scalp to actually absorb it. So it's not like you can just shampoo real quick and then rinse it out. Like, you actually have to wait figure out other things to do, you know, while you're waiting for that. And it's just the whole process. It's a lot. Now, it wouldn't be so bad if I wore my locks down when I went out, right? Because then they would probably dry even quicker as they're exposed to the sun's rays and stuff. But you guys know that I don't wear my hair down. It's usually up in a tam satin bonnet combo. So my hair needs to be dry before I put it up. So I have to like organize my life around which days I have to shampoo. And by the way, when I'm not shampooing with the ketoconazole shampoo, I have to use this tar shampoo. So all of these things are to combat the inflammation and the overgrowth of the Malassezia yeast that they believe is contributing to the seborrheic dermatitis. Now, the interesting thing about all of this is that I still have not had a lot of dandruff. You know, that's one of the things that is associated with this condition, but I don't have that. You know, if it's been like before when I wasn't washing my hair as often, maybe I would have some dead skin cells build up, but as soon as I washed my hair, it went away. Especially now that I've been washing so regularly, I don't have the dandruff. So it's just kind of a mind-boggling situation. But everything else fits, you know. The fact that it's seborrheic dermatitis, and my dermatologist believes that it definitely is. He believes it's a combination of the seborrheic dermatitis, which I guess is a form of eczema, and then another type of eczema. So yeah, it's been crazy just trying to like deal with this. Now, the reason that I am considering cutting off my locks is because, like I said, it would be just so much easier to go through this whole process if I didn't have all this hair to deal with, which I love. I love my locks. You guys know I love my locks, but it's just a lot. And oh yeah, I forgot. I also have to put this foam, it's called clobetasol, on my scalp, and that's to help reduce the inflammation as well. So yeah, between the clobetasol foam, the ketoconazole shampoo, the tar shampoo, and the destinide cream that I'm putting on my face to stop my skin from aging 50 years in like a matter of days, it's just a lot, you guys. It's so much. It's actually kind of sad, but we're pushing through. So my hope is that I can get this under control so that I can go into a period of remission. You know, we are now in spring, but like I said, things like stress even contribute to the flare-ups. And even though I've never dealt with this before, now that it has happened, I just wonder if it's gonna be something that happens regularly. And I wonder if my bouts with these flare-ups are gonna be enduring. And yeah, I mean, my quality of life has definitely lessened, not at the point that it was, because I have to do all of this stuff and I'm worried about, you know, just everything that's going on with my scalp and skin. And of course, with all that worrying, that stress, and that's feeding into it, and it just becomes this vicious cycle. So I don't know. I just don't know at this point. My plan though is to just continue pushing forward for now, in the hopes that I encounter some sort of respite, and then everything will kind of go back to normal, and this will be hopefully a far distant memory without any future flare-ups in the near future. That's my hope. But if it becomes too much for me, then, you know, I have to think about what will enhance my quality of life, and that might mean cutting off my locks. So I would definitely keep you guys apprised. I mean, obviously you'll know if I cut off my locks. It's a lock channel, right? But I'm definitely trying to avoid doing that because I love my locks. I'm curious to know if any of you guys deal with this seborrheic dermatitis, and if you have locks and what you do to manage it, how you balance having locks with this condition. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions the heart to not really love at all. This is Atreyu Locs, and I'll see you next time. Peace.